And I saw that great city which sitteth like a queen. The merchants of the world are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. Many have lived deliciously and delicately with her. A city clothed in fine linens and purple and scarlet, decked with gold, precious stones, and costly pearls. Lust hath brought to her streets violence. Her costliness cannot hide the ugliness of her soul. Welcome to the Great Society, a junkyard of human depravity. The big people here are the addicts, the muggers, the burglars, the alcoholics, the gangs, and the Debs and Dolls. Here live parents who spend all their money on fifths of whiskey instead of quarts of milk. Others make their home in this urban hell because they're trapped and cannot escape. Even the little people join the gangs. They land in the street jungle because it's often better there than in the home. The children here are conceived in the hates and shames and sins of their parents. Their tender bodies become their enemies to feed them drugs, disease, and liquor. They're born wishing they were dead. Innocent-looking children who should be playing with puppy dogs can tell you how to make a zip gun or how to dance all night at a gig. Values are hard to come by in this street jungle. The smells and the sounds on these crowded streets hold a certain kind of intoxication for the very young. Here are the teenagers of tomorrow living out the anxieties of today. Car busting and destruction of property becomes a game after a while, especially when it's encouraged by adults who urge them on. Let them play with all their might, because it won't be long until a majority of them will be too weak to run or throw a ball. They'll turn from innocent games to deadly switchblade and zip gun rumbles. One by one, they'll leave the ball games to take up the dirty narcotic mead or the bottle of wine. Others will be beaten into submission at gang initiation just because they want to be wanted, even by the bishops. We've been talking about this man's parish, Reverend Wilkerson, the founder of Teen Challenge, and known as the gang preacher.
These are the war plans for a rumble between the bishops and the Roman lords. What do you use? What weapon?
I always use a blade.
This is a blade. What are you using?
Sort of 30-30.
I noticed some bayonets around here. Do you fellas actually go out in the street with bayonets?
Sure.
Why? What would you do with a bayonet?
You catch a guy, you run him through the heart, or you cut his head off.
Have you ever heard of anyone getting their head cut off or run through the heart?
Yeah, lots of time. Only about a couple of months ago, I'm grafting and picking. These Frenchmen, they caught a guy and they stabbed him 40 times in the chest.
With a bayonet?
Yeah.
Why do teenage boys join a gang in the first place? Legs, well, why?
Because they want to get protection from other gangs. These people, they see you walking down the street or get into a group. They figure, man, here come a bunch of bums, but they don't know what's happening. When they was teenagers, they probably live in the country, but the city, you walk through the street, there's somebody always out to get you, so.
Are you afraid when you walk down the street, son, that somebody jump out, stick a knife in your back?
Yeah, I think so.
How about you?
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't like to be stopped or anything like that, but on our way, we got to do it, like it or not, we just got to join to a clique.
What about the cops? You fellas like the cops, or do you fight with them?
Yeah, I don't like the cops that good. Some of them sometimes, but when they stop you, those are the ones you don't like.
What about these gangs now that are throwing Molotov cocktails off the roofs, trying to kill the cops? Why do you do that?
that's the way they get their thrills. You know, the cops to let them know that they're not afraid of them, even though that they think they're big. They got a 10 badge, they got a big 38 swinging on their hip, and they figure, well, I got the law to back me up. You know, if I kill somebody, I get a medal.
You know, most people around the country think that a gang like yourself, the Bishops, are a bunch of hoodlums. Are you hoodlums? Is it? Some of you sleep till noon, though some of you go to school. You sleep till noon and you dance all day and then you go out and fight. You go out looking for trouble?
Most of the time we do.
You just go out looking for trouble. Well, to my way of thinking, I don't know what you're going to say to me, or and really, I think I'm your friend, but I would have to call you hoodlum too if all you did is go out and try to fight, and you want to sit and listen to jazz and sleep till noon and eat. What are you going to do with your life? You got no future?
But you don't know that. You don't know what we may have. That you only people think that, you know, hoodlums are a bunch of, you know, people running around. But they don't realize that their kids do it too behind their back. That when, you know, a group of guys get together, you never could tell what they might cooking up.
Are you just a punk?
No.
These drinking, rumbling, knife-toting teenagers represent our nation's untapped resources. They have never been challenged by the church, and most of them will pass into oblivion, lost to God and to society. Here is where the other half lives, Skid Row. The planners of the Great Society bleeds in compassion for the poor and underprivileged who live in our urban slums. But at the very same time, they grant one liquor license after another to greedy, fat political hacks that now operate liquor stores on nearly every block. Any war on poverty is ridiculous unless it includes a crusade to stop the sale of cheap wine and liquor to teenagers. Teenage alcoholism has become one of our most critical problems today. From the affluent suburbs like Darien, Connecticut, where parents serve alcoholic beverages to their teenagers in the home, to the cheap wines of the Bowery, the drunkenness and despair is the same. Tragically, many of high school and college youth who spend vacations on the beach and drinking sprees will end up looking like resurrected corpses on some forsaken Skid Row like this. This is becoming the most drunken age in history. Bohemian youth seek out their own kind, the hipsters, beatniks, and intellectuals. Among these roving, singing, protesting nonconformists are the draft card burners, the pacifists, the communist sympathizers, and extremists. The tourists are just along for the local color and excitement. They think red, act blue, and live yellow. They iron their hair and wrinkle their clothes. The hipsters and beatniks belong to a religious political cult who seek to interpret life through mystical experiences. They shoot LSD and other hallucinatory drugs to create a God consciousness. Coffee house evangelism is conducted now all over the world, in basement chapels like the Catacomb in Greenwich Village, New York. Rebellion is the password in this subculture. Homosexuals, lesbians, male prostitutes, and perverts find tolerance and social acceptance among those of their own kind. There's not much to separate the boys from the girls, not even the clothes or the length of the hair. Teen Challenge puts it on the line to them all in this coffee house.
Mom, this Catacomb Chapel has just about every kind of teenager visiting us down in this basement. Prostitutes, male prostitutes, homosexuals, beatniks. What are these kids rebelling against anyhow?
Well, they're rebelling first against parental authority, I think, in their homes, and I think that's where it all began, and I don't know but what it's fault of some of the parents.
How about the church? They seem to be rebelling against
They rebel against church, they rebel against authority, they rebel against everything. They don't want to conform. They're called nonconformists, and they refuse to conform to anything.
Some of the boys are wearing earrings, the boys have long hair, and the girls are completely unkept. There seems to be no motivation, no desire for God or for...
Well, they have no ambition in the first place. They don't want to go any place. They're not going any place. They don't want to do anything or be anything.
How old are you, son?
I'm 17 years old.
Are you a male prostitute?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been one?
Well, about 4 or 5 years now.
Your parents know you are?
No, they do not.
Tell me what you think about this life. Are you ashamed of it, or
well, at the moment, I was in doubt. Now I know for sure. It's a disgusting life, and teenagers should never get involved in such a thing. I myself never thought I could bring myself to do such awful things.
You know, it's hard for me, and I'm sure hard for people who would see something like this on film to imagine a 17-year-old boy would go out and sell his body to anybody just for easy money.
Well, it's quite hard to
You never
realize.
thought you'd be like that.
No, I never realized it would happen to me. I mean, a lot of times people say, oh, it never can happen to me, but it can happen. And it will happen if you go near these areas where homosexuals...
Is this how teenagers are getting involved, going around the
wrong,
wrong, hanging around
narcotics.
bars?
You try it once it kicks in, it becomes a desperate habit.
Now, there it is. Is this what you would tell teenagers to keep them from getting involved in this? To stay away from kids and don't try it the first time?
Don't even try it the first time. You try it once, it becomes a deadly habit. Stay away. I urge teenagers, stay away.
Now, you're up to you. What would you call yourself?
I'm a bisexual. I have sex with anyone I love of either sex, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. Love is nothing to be ashamed of. It's the Creator who first told us we should love.
Just a minute. Don't you know that it's wrong to engage in evil sexually with those?
It is not evil. Religion must come to recognize that it is not evil, or religion will become evil and reactionary.
What would you call yourself a beatnik too?
The term beatnik is a prejudiced term. There is no such thing as a beatnik.
Your parents know you're in this kind of life?
My parents don't know anything about me. I try to communicate somewhat with my mother because I feel it's my job to educate her.
You think she's uneducated, unwise?
She's uneducated in certain ways, and I am trying to educate her.
Well, why don't you get out of your house if it's that bad?
I am as soon as I can earn some money in a respectable way. You see, I do have my values.
What are your values?
Not to harm anybody else, and to lead my own life and to follow beauty in my own way. I am also an art student.
Drug addiction begins right here. Glue sniffing. Others experiment with ammonia and alcohol solutions, marigold seeds, hairsprays, solutions found in fire extinguishers, nutmeg and milk, and other such experiments unknown in the past years. Teenagers today drink cough syrup to get high. Some will try anything just to be sure they'll never be called chicken. Goofball addiction is getting out of hand. Tons of black market pills are being swallowed by youth around the world. The problem will get worse. It's possible to purchase marijuana in almost any major city today. Teenagers can purchase it, roll it, market it to their friends, and make enough to go into business selling hard narcotics. Marijuana almost always leads the user to heroin addiction. Heroin is the last step to mainline addiction. Medical science has still not found a lasting cure for the heroin addict. Cold turkey is instantaneous withdrawal without medication. Not even an addict can describe the torments of kicking a habit. Willpower is not enough. Pain drives the addict right back to the street, ready to rob and mug to support another fix. Working angles to support his habit takes up most of the addict's time. The average addict steals over $40,000 worth of goods each year, and he gets less than 1/5 cash value from the pawn shop. Life comes in a little cellophane bag. His bloodstream cries for the needle, and he's powerless to resist. Is it true? Once an addict, always an addict? Teen Challenge is one organization that believes in a lifetime cure for addiction of all kinds. Alcoholics, addicts, and habit-bound patients have found an open door to a new life. They come daily to be interviewed and helped.
Eddie, how is your physical strength?
Well, I have a year to live. I suffer a liver laceration, or rather a stab in the liver.
How'd that happen?
I gave a pusher $10 to buy a bag of heroin, and he gave me $5 back on the bag of heroin. But another junkie tried to take it away from me, and one of his friends stabbed me from the back.
Where did he stab you? Show me.
He stabbed me right here.
Is this where he stabbed you?
That's the cause of the stab. They have to remove the liver to stitch it out of the body. The stab was this one.
The success of the Teen Challenge ministry is simple to explain. The addict is taken out of the city and its evil environment to peaceful and clean surroundings where the concepts of Christ are taught. At the Teen Challenge Institute of Missions, they train to go back and help other addicts. A highly successful part of the program is the Teen Challenge Training Center. Boys are sent here from any one of the centers located in the major cities in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Race and color mean nothing at this school, only a desperation to be clean. Vocational training includes agriculture. Milking cows and feeding pigs can be quite an experience. They play hard, too. Most of them do their best work at the table. Their frail bodies are soon nursed back to health. They're taught to work with their hands. Hard work is a part of their discipline, but the heart of it all is the classroom where the Bible and remedial subjects are taught. They learn to look to the Bible for answers to life. More than 80% of the boys who go through the program continue in their new way of life. Some enter the ministry. Others find jobs, while still others return to the city with a desire to share their newfound cure with old friends.